Blayze513. Welcome you here to Lamb's Lab.
Yes, sir.
And I've known you for a while, you know what I'm saying? Since I think I met you maybe when I was in 7th grade.
Garfield.
Yeah. A couple years older than me. So
yeah.
A lot of this for the people, because I know some of it. But so just tell me, start off, where'd you grow up?
The majority or just everywhere?
Yeah, just starting off, yeah.
I mean, shit, I went to Hayes Elementary kindergarten. And then mom and dad got married. Then they moved to Fairfield. Went to Fairfield a few years. Left there. Then went to GW, Garfield, Hope, Blue. So mainly most of my actual growing up was on the north end.
Oh, Hamilton. Right?
Yeah, on Vine Street, yeah. But there's a lot of shit in between there, including being homeless shelter, all that shit too. So
right.
Yeah.
So going into that, what was kind of your life like growing up in all those places?
So at first it was cool. Till we got older. Once I got older and realized what was going on, I found out, Dad wasn't just building houses with bricks. He was selling them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we got raided, and they took everything, cars, all of it. Dad had 2 work trucks. Mom had 3 cars. I had a pager when I was like 10, the cool one and shit. And then Mom picked me up, said everything gone. They took it all. Like we ain't had shit. Yeah, so we went from there to the Hamilton Inn, which was a shit box back in the day. And then Dad got sentenced to, I think it was 8 years in prison on my 13th birthday. And we went from there to the homeless shelter for like 9 months. And then we went from there to Vitterick in the projects. We was there for like a month. Went from there to South 6th Street to the north end. And Vitterick and South 6th Street was like a total of 4 months in between. And then the north end for like 10 years. So.
And where was the Hamilton Inn? Is that on?
Dixie. It was on, so the new Board of Education is there now.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Like if you go up Route 4 towards Hamilton, like you going up from Fairfield and it split off.
Okay.
It was right over there on the left hand side.
Okay.
They tore it all down now.
I know what you're
This was
talking
back
about.
in like 96, 97.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, back in the day.
2-story.
Yep, it had
kind of
2.
in the L shape.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing but dope and prostitutes in it, motherfucker. That was it.
Right. Wow.
So.
Man, so was it? You have any siblings?
Oh yeah, I got a younger brother. I got a sister that's 11 months younger than me, and then I got a older brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was just y'all kind of going through those moves and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was me and my brother just doing the moves. My sister and my other brother are with different moms, same dad.
Gotcha.
But me and my little brother, same mom and all that. So.
Okay. So you mentioned your school. You said Hayes you went to. That's in Lindenwold, right?
Yeah.
Was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And then Fairfield West was the elementary that I spent up through 5th grade. And then 6th grade, they started me at this alternative school, which was kind of shaky. I got in a fight, got kicked out. Then we went back to Lindenwold, George Washington, got expelled from there. And then Garfield, got expelled from there. And then Hope, and then Hamilton High. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, that goes into what I was going into next. Like what was your behavior like as a kid?
Horrible. Bad. I was rebellious, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't know nobody. Pops was gone, we ain't have shit, nothing.
Right.
I started selling weed young, like 12. Was making fake crack and all that shit, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll never forget when we moved out of the homeless shelter with a mixed couple. And they were like, you can move in, we'll get a spot together to get us up out of here or whatever, right? And so I was selling weed, and I ain't gonna say his name, but old boy comes up like, hey man, front me a dime. I was like, man, I ain't fronting you shit. I'm giving you nothing. I was 12, like 12. Dad hadn't been sentenced yet, I was like 12. And so he went and told my mama that I was selling weed because I wasn't fronting nothing. Got me all kinds of trouble. So, but yeah, I started doing dumb shit at a young age. I just got lucky enough I didn't get too much trouble. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
Right. And I'm guessing when you were in school, were you a good student or you didn't really care, or what was the situation like?
Like, what was crazy was the getting up and going to school part. Like, getting up early, I couldn't do it. Mama called the police on me. She threw shit at me, roller skates, pieces of wood. She threw it at my head to get me up out the bed because she was going to get locked up. And so when I'd get to school, I'd leave. I wouldn't even stay. So it wasn't even about me going to school. It was just I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to be there. So it was all about just going. I just hated it, period. Couldn't tell you my attitude because I wasn't really there. Now, I got in fights and shit in school. That's what got me expelled from GW. Got me expelled from Garfield was fighting. Because back then we had them it was east side, west side when I was growing up. There were some west siders that went to Garfield. But we all had east side hoodies made and hats. And we'd go down through the west side hallway where they had a lot of the west side kids and just start punching them in the face and shit for no reason. Stupid too. It was stupid.
Okay. So you're a musician, you know what I'm saying? Like, when did you maybe start to develop wanting to be in the music? And was there any other type of music you was into before rap or at the same time or what?
Yeah, it really started young, man. Like, I've always had the personality of being the entertainment of whatever was going on. Like, we'd be at a wedding, family reunion, it didn't matter. Like, if music was playing, I'd get in the middle and start dancing, whatever, from a tyke all the way up. So, and then with roller skating, like, I used to skate every weekend. That was my kind of getaway from the bullshit. It was like, go to the skating rink, go to the skate. And I'd live there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like, every weekend, that's where I was at. So, I just remember, like, I would dance here and there, but then I figured out this move we was doing on skates. I'm like, man, that's that same airwalking shit Michael Jackson be doing, right? So I'm like, can I translate from skates to shoes? Like, started practicing it, figured it out, and come to behold, it was the shit that everybody was doing, the airwalking and all that. And I was like, oh, it's easy money now. So I started killing it, going to homecomings and shit, bodying everybody, and then the rap shit just kind of came natural. Like, a lot of people know this now, but the very first verse I ever used to get into a recording studio was a Tupac verse nobody ever heard. I memorized it. I didn't even write it.
What's that verse?
It was, goddamn, what was the name of the song? I can't remember. I can't even remember what it was, but my cousin Greg linked me up with this cat, and he called me. He was like, spit me something. That's the first thing that came to my head, so I spit it. He was like, damn, bro. And I was like, come on now. Like, I think of it now, like, there's no way you thought I wrote that shit. There's no way. But it got me in the studio at the age of, I think it was 13, 14 when I first started recording and shit. So, yeah.
All right, so, you went to Hamilton High School, you said, and
yeah.
So you finished there, and
I dropped out junior year.
Okay.
Yeah. I dropped out 11th grade.
Okay, gotcha. And what'd you get into when you dropped out? What'd you do?
Nah, it's music, rapping shit. That was it. I started doing battles a lot down through Cincinnati. I was like 16, 17. My manager at the time, shout out Rob Reeves, he would take me around to different parts of Cincinnati and be like, hey, got 500 on the white boy, you can't touch him. I don't even know where we at. Come to find out, we was down in Winton Terrace, Avondale, all that shit. I'm like, God damn, what you doing with me down here, bro? Like, fuck you mean? But it was cool, like, because the Ritz was having battles, and at the time, like, white people weren't going to the Ritz, you know what I mean? And so I just went because I heard they was giving away $100 every weekend and a bottle of Moet. Well, I wasn't even allowed to touch the bottle of Moet. I was only 17. So I just get my little quick $100 and then move on to the next spot. So after I dropped out of high school, I eventually got my GED when I was like 19 or 20. And that's probably my biggest regret was dropping out of high school for real. Like, I just got my lazy ass up out the bed. I'd have been alright. Right. So. Okay.
So, you got into that scene, rapping scene at a young age. So, when you got into being like an adult, maybe like 18, did anything change like with the rap thing, or did you stick with the same manager type guy? Or what?
Yeah, the big change came when the Wiz was doing this battle. Basically, they were hosting 2 tournaments, and the winner of the 2 tournaments would battle at the Rock the Mic tour at Riverbend. And this was like '03, I think it was '03. So I had just maybe turned 18 or 19, and I had won one of the tournaments. So we go to the Rock the Mic tour, and it's like 15,000 people because it's, you know, it's Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Fabulous, Snoop, Missy Elliott, all them cats. It was crazy, huge. And ended up battling at that and won that. And that got me a whole front page article right up on the Enquirer, big pictures and shit. My mom still got it on her wall. But that's kind of where I really took, like, okay, like I could really do something with this music thing. At that point, I really, really knew that I had something, or felt like I had something from there.
Gotcha.
I'm skipping ahead on you, ain't I?
No, you good. And was you doing any partying or out there or big time partying or what?
You asked the question with a smile. Yeah. I was doing partying. I was drinking, but not as much as I was when I became single. At the time, like from when I was 16, the summer of when I was 16, I started dating who became my daughter's mom. And we was together for like 7 years. So we was partying and drinking, but nowhere near as much as when her and I split. So from like 23 to 30, it's a blur, my guy.
Right.
It's a blur. They all look the same.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you had when was your daughter born?
2007, May 16th.
Okay. So 2007.
Yeah. And Blayze and Harmony formed just about 6 months after that.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's the duo you
with JT
came together with. So
yeah.
Tell me about that and how it started and things like that.
Yeah, so a buddy of mine named Dane Andrews, me and JT, that's a mutual friend that we have, and so we were going to a bar in Fairfield called the Lighthouse. It was just down from what was Double D's. I don't even know if it was Double D's, Sneakies, I think it is now. And he was like, man, I got a dude that can sing his ass off. He went to Hamilton. He's a couple years older than you. You should link up with him, see what y'all can do or whatever, right? So I link up with him, and then there was a producer that named Elementary. Shout out Elementary. He was doing beat CDs and shit. Well, there was a certain beat CD that I had gotten, and I called Elementary like, hey, bro, I want to use this beat. He's like, bro, Harmony just called me for that yesterday. I'm like, he's like, hit him up, see if y'all could just do a collab on that beat. So I holler at him. He was like, yeah, man, we can do a collab on that shit, whatever. And it was a song that we did called Rolly that was on the album, and it was such a vibe when we did it. We were like, fuck it, bro, let's just do a whole project, kill this shit. And that's kind of how the Collision came together, and it fell into place the way that it should have, and we just took off from there, doing the shows and the videos and all that. So
yeah, the Collision, that was your first project together.
Yep.
And what was kind of, you kind of mentioned a little bit, what was like the vibe of that project and all that?
Honestly, like it first put it in my mind, like when I hate to use this reference because their shit was such a flop, but the Jay-Z, R. Kelly, Best of Both Worlds collabs, kind of, you know what I mean? Except for they were too egotistical. They just never really worked. If they could have put ego aside, they could have done some history making shit. But that was just kind of the feel that we had for it, except for we were 2 white boys coming out, one singing some soulful church style R&B, another one rapping that's decent, you know what I mean? And it came together. We were at the studio going through beats, and the beat for Girlfriend came up, and we heard that shit. I looked over at JT like, bro, that motherfucker right there could be a single, right? And so we recorded it, and that song took us off. It was over after that.
Okay. And how many you guys performed a lot around?
All the time.
Yeah, I remember some of that stuff. How many projects did you guys do together?
Officially one. Just one. We started working on the second one, and that's when it was 2012, I think. No, 2010. 2010, I think. 2010, 2011, somewhere between there. And JT and I were actually locking in some funding for the second project because we knew, like, we came out of pocket ourselves on the first one. Paid for everything. I'm talking about we sold our guns. We sold everything to pay for the shit to get it. Now, when we started doing shows, we started making a lot more money to bring it back, but we didn't realize what it was going to cost us at first. So we started locking in some funding, and I'll never forget, I was sitting on the beach in St. Pete, and JT called me like, hey, bro, just so you know, I'm not going to be able to do this music thing no more. And I'm like, huh? You know what I mean? Huh? Fuck you mean you can't do it no more? He's like, well, I'm going to be a preacher. And I was like, oh, you're macing me right now, bro. How you gonna mace me right after we just dropped the project? Like, you're macing me. He's like, I can't help it. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I wasn't mad at him for it. I understood, like, you know, life takes us places. And so he was like, but I got, you know, I'll support you. So you're good, blah, blah, blah. And so not long after that, I moved back to Ohio because I was in Florida at the time. Well, when I came back to Ohio, he was doing this preacher thing, and I'm just like, man, what do I want to do? You know what I mean? I was like, fuck it, let's go out to Freestyle Friday. Let's see what we can do. So I came back. I started selling cars at King's. Was it King's Kia? It might have been Weiler Kia that I was at. I think it was Weiler. And I had a demo, right, with a demo plate. Well, it don't matter if they know now. I drove that bitch to Washington, D.C. Drove it straight there. My buddy was with me at the time. Remember, I think it was David. Rode with me. We slept outside of the Lincoln Memorial for like 2 or 3 hours. Woke up, went to the audition. I battled probably 6 people in the audition. They called me like, hey, we're going to want you here in January, blah, blah, blah. And the rest is history.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to get back to that part, but you, 2007, when you formed the duo and you had your daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
And you've been, I guess, the word vocal, like on Facebook and stuff, like about your child's situation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you can go into at all, or?
Yeah, we can go to it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
So, I mean, it's just the fact that, you know, whenever my daughter was born, her mother and I had split up partway through because her parents just didn't like me. They never liked me. They never fucked with me. And once they found out she was pregnant, they were like, we gotta get her the fuck up out of here. Like, that's the only way to do it. And so that kind of brought the whole tiff of between us happening. However, she bounces to Florida. I had no idea. I find out. I chase her down. Long story short, she kept prolonging the paternity test because we weren't married and I didn't get to sign the birth certificate. By the time the results came, she had already lived in Florida for 6 months, and legally she was a citizen of the state and didn't have to move back. So they had planned that whole thing out so that she could stay in Florida. So I had been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth up until she got married. My baby mama got married to her husband. And as soon as that happened, that's when the beef really started, because she wanted her fantasy family of 1 man, woman, 2 kids. And I told her, I said, no matter what you try to do, bitch, you always gonna have 2 baby daddies, period. Right. Period. I don't care what you do. And so little by little, she controlled everything, and that just kind of put the beef between us. Took her to court in 2008, spent damn near $30,000 and got nothing. Nothing. So it's an ongoing thing. My daughter will be 15 in May, but I'll never give up. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
So that's kind of how that goes.
Sure. So going back just a touch, so you and Blayze and Harmony, like I said, there was a lot of those performances at some of those places that I was at.
Yeah.
So what was it like? You know, just doing those different shows, and you know, probably was making a little money or whatever, but
yeah.
What was it like going around and just the excitement, people telling you I'm coming and check you out?
Oh yeah, yeah, it was crazy, man. Well, like, cause that all started, we shot the video for Girlfriend, right? And at the time we had made so many connections with Rick over at Spade Creations. Rick Spade owns it. Jason Young, who ran JYS Productions, the guy who shot the video. Midwest Grip and Lighting, where we brought the cars in to shoot with the White Room and all that. Nobody had really done that as a local artist and did it on their own. There were no music videos like that. And this was all in like 2008, I think it was. Shane Graham brought his Porsche out. Like, it was crazy. And we weren't nobody. We ain't signed. We just had the word of the buzz that we was doing. And so when we put that video out, everybody was like, okay, well, this shit's official, right? So when we started doing shows, people were coming out as if we were some big time act. Like, we were charging $10, $15 a head at the door, and people was gladly paying it. We was having 400 or 500 people pay that. You could do the math. And so we was making and performing maybe 30, 45-minute set, tops 30 minutes usually is what we perform, and then we stay and party. So we was making $5,000, $6,000 just to perform. Mm-hmm. Amen.
That's good money.
Yeah, for local artists, it wasn't too bad, man. It wasn't too bad. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went into, you went out to DC, audition, and so you get the call to come back, and you there to battle Blind Fury. Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So when they give me the date that I'm going, I'm watching, I'm following along, right? And I'm like, okay, my dude Beavis is doing pretty good. He ain't too bad, right? And I'm like, they're not gonna bring nobody in that could really get to him, right? So when they call me, they're like, I need you here for this date. I'm like, oh, well, this Blind Fury's retirement week. He's like, yeah, unfortunately. I'm like, fuck you mean unfortunately? Like, you're setting me up, bro. Like, there's no way. Dude's too good to be Muhammad Ali. Like, I'm not gonna come in there and knock dude out. Like, there ain't no way. He's too good. So, of course, I'm not gonna tell him I ain't coming. So I go, and even if you watch it online, there's a lot of comments where they're like, hey, Blayze's second verse, there should have been a third round. They should have done a third round. They ain't gonna do a third round. Even unless he would have just completely dropped the ball and quit rapping. He knew how to hold his own enough to keep that victory. And so after it's done, I'm livid. I'm mad as fuck. Like, man, because BET don't pay for you to go. You pay for your own shit. You pay for your flight. You pay for your room. However, you pay for everything. They don't pay for nothing. And so Pat Charles, the executive producer at the time, comes up right after it's done. He's like, we're going to bring you back, bro. We're going to bring you back. I'm like, man, fuck you are. That's what you tell everybody, man. Get me the fuck up out of here, right? So I leave, and that was January of 11. May of 2012, my phone rings. I'm in Tampa, and it's Pat Charles. I'm like, what's up, bro? He's like, you ready to come back? I was like, there's a bear shit in the woods and wipe his ass with a rabbit, bro. Like, hell yeah. So he was like, bet, I need you here. I remember exactly what week it was. And so I get back, and the dope shit was that, like, all the security, the camera guys, they all remember me just from my one time being there. Because I guess it's just my personality where I just stand out for whatever reason. Like, I'm just outgoing. I don't know a stranger. Like, I'll talk to everybody. And so when I get there, they're like, will you please beat this motherfucking Showtime cat, bro? They're like, all he does is this little gay ass cough shit. I was like, oh, he does that? Okay, bet. So I'm looking, and I go in. Well, this time when I go, I'm prepared because I didn't know they was writing before they got there. So I'm like, all right. So I had me some little bars for him. He ain't stand a chance. It's over with. Right. And that's when I became champion, 2012.
Okay. So I want to get back to that too, but going back to the first time, do you remember you against Blind Fury? And some people, I guess, might seen him throughout time on social media and stuff like that.
Sure.
First question, you kind of already said, but like, what did you think of him? And do you remember any of your bars that you said against him? Any punchlines?
So as far as he goes, like, and don't get me wrong, dude's dope. Like, the dude's freestyling ability is top tier. He can come off the top of the head with some shit, but like, he's supposed to be blind, yet he'll talk about what you look like. And nobody seemed to catch. I caught it right then. I'm like, hold the fuck up. And then when it was all over with, I was sitting there thinking, like, I should throw the mic at his face and see if he ducked. Like, if he ducked, it exposed him. If it don't duck, he's still funny. It's funny as hell. It's viral, right? But I didn't do it. I ain't do it. But as far as the bars I used against him, I said something where, man, I know I said something about him looking like Helen Keller had a kid with Rob Dyrdek. I remember that one. I remember saying he looked like he survived abortion. I remember I said at one part where I said his underbite so big he could chew on his chin, and it should have been his overbite, but it was still funny as hell. Right. And then when he was rapping, he would move his fingers like this, and they'd be all up like this. And I said something about it looked like he was reading Braille while he was rapping, like. And so just I remember them few little lines and shit, but yeah, dude was you motherfucker. I know I silenced that bitch. My bad. There you go. But yeah.
So you go back and you face the Showtime SP and you beat him, and then you become the champion. Yeah. And what it feel like, even the first time with Blind Fury, you know, because like around the town or whatever, you know, because that's my hometown too, you know. Yeah. People were talking like, you see Blayze on TV or even on TV. What it feel like, you know, just like kind of have like the whole city behind you and stuff like that, and like kind of, you know, representing the area and stuff on national TV. Oh yeah, yeah. That was a, you know, at the time that was a huge show. You know what that feel like?
It was good, man. Like when I lost, I felt like I was devastated that first time. I was like, "Are you kidding me, bro? Like the blind dude, bro? Like really?" Because I had beaten way better dudes than him before, like way better. And so when I finally got to go back and kind of redeem myself, so to speak, it was a great feeling, man, to come back home, because you know that's when all those I've known Blayze forever come out, that people I ain't never met. And so the best part is, because growing up, I've had two last names my whole life, Brandon Floyd and Brandon Lakes, right? Some people know, some people don't, right? So the best part is when people would come up to me talking about like, oh yeah, you know Brandon Lakes, that's my boy, and I'm like, yeah, no, I think I heard of him. What's he do? And I just let them go on about it, not knowing I'm the same person, and it just lets me know, because I ain't never met him a day in my life. But because I was doing the TV thing, you know, they knew me. They was, and so that was a funny part. But then we started getting calls from like I think the Journal did a write up on us. Channel 5 did an interview with us on TV. Channel 19 called my mama. Went and did an interview with my mama when I was out of town doing a show. All of a sudden I come home and I see on YouTube they got my mama sitting on the front step talking to her and shit. I'm like, when the hell did they do this? Like, I didn't even know they had done that. Right. But the Wiz did some stuff on the Wiz with Young Steph at the. I think Young Steph was there at the time. Yeah, so it was dope, man. It was just because everybody. No, Hamilton wasn't really that known, you know. We got Roger Troutman, but a lot of people don't even know Roger Troutman is from Hamilton. Like, so to get on there and make sure, like, hey, don't put Cincinnati, man. You put Hamilton on there, because I'm not from Cincinnati. I'm from Hamilton. That's it. Yeah. And so that was pretty dope. That was pretty dope, man.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you beat Showtime, and then you faced P. Marty. Yeah. What happened there?
I beat him.
Okay.
Yeah, I won that week. But there were some controversial things that happened during that week that the show wasn't too happy with, and the same as mine, and so they ended up bleeping quite a few of my bars up, and then the following week, which would have been if I would have won, it would have been 4th week champion or 3rd week champion. They told me I was battling one person, but I get there and it's somebody else. So it's kind of a setup, but it is what it is. You can't find the P. Marty online nowhere because of that.
What was it?
So, I don't, like, I'm sure you've seen 8 Mile and all that, right? And so, I had come up with some lines that were, they said were too edgy. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, and he was like, well, you got to think about the 10-year-old kid watching that. And they're watching a white dude talk about a black guy. And I'm like, but you didn't bleep him out saying honky and crack or nothing. And my stuff, and you know me, like, you can call me with an ego, loud, but racist is not one of them, right? And there weren't even racist bars. It was just funny off the top shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude was dark skinned as fuck, had on black forces, right? And I said something like, you want to be the champ, but you don't compare. Look, them black shoes match you. It looks like you're barefoot. And they were like, oh, fuck, we can't have him saying that, right? But while I'm there, the whole crowd was laughing. They was on it, right? And so, but he was on me like, oh, white boy this, honky that. And I'm like, but that's okay. Like, Alright, so they called me like, we gotta bleep it out, and then I lost the following week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who'd you lose to?
I don't even remember dude's name.
Okay.
And because if you go back and watch it, I felt like I beat him, but I don't even know if you can find them online. Because BET copyright, some new thing that they passed, when Viacom sold out from BET, everything came down.
Right.
So I don't even know if you can find the first video, the Showtime video.
Okay.
But I got it on my phone though.
Alright, so you come back from Freestyle Friday.
Yeah.
And you already mentioned the Harmony tells you, he's done.
Yeah.
And so, it's solo time for you. So what was like your primary focus once that happened?
Well, I had never done a solo project. And so I was like, all right, well, here's a new challenge. Now we're going to do a solo project. And so I did a little, I wouldn't say like a mixtape. And it was called History. But I did it like his story, like, you know what I'm saying? And so I put that out. And it was received really well. It had a song called Hometown on it with had an Adele sample on it. And that track took off. And everyone was like, bro, Hometown's my shit. Hometown's my shit. I'm like, all right, bet. I appreciate it. Thank you. And so we were going to shoot video for it, but then we had an issue with clearing the sample with Adele. So we had to kind of scrap it. We couldn't really do the video and we couldn't sell it because that's where you get the copyright infringement. So we just left that as free. And I started performing them solo songs and working on an actual EP, which was called The Life of H.A. Milton, where I just took Hamilton as a city and gave him a personality. H.A. Milton's Hamilton spelled together. And so I just took different aspects of that. And I have a buddy of mine, Jim Simpson. At the time, his grandmother was alive, and she was around back when all the gangsters and all that was in Hamilton at the Grand and all that. So I'm like, what better intro? Because H.A. Milton sounds like an old ass name, right? Mm-hmm. So we sat down with her, and she just kind of starts talking about all that old school shit, and we recorded it and put it as the intro and the outro of the project. And then in between all that, it's just different struggles that I felt from people that I knew in my life going through on each song. And that project did pretty well, and it still does pretty well. It's getting play over in Europe and all that right now. Okay. So, and that came out 2016. Huh?
What platforms is that?
It's on Bandcamp. I believe it's still on iTunes. I'll have to double check, but it's on Bandcamp, SoundCloud. And I want to say iTunes/Spotify, but I could be wrong on those two. I'd have to double check for you, but it's definitely on Bandcamp and SoundCloud for sure.
Right. So, what after H.A. Milton? Mm-hmm. What have you been doing?
Man, little stuff here and there. At that time, I came out 2016. And I was just to the point where I'm like, man, I'm getting old. You know what I mean? 2016, I think I was, let's see, what was that, 6 years ago? Yeah, 6 years ago. And so I was like 32. I was like, man, I'm done. I'm old, bro. I've been chasing it since I was, 14, 13. Yeah. And so, now don't get me wrong, I still dabble. And I would drop tracks here and there and all that, but that's the last project I really put out. However, I have been dabbling a little more here recently, so.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah. Is there any, just like with my thing here, obviously is movies, but sports was in my background.
Yeah.
So you always have, particularly basketball, you get maybe that itch to, do something, to play, to coach, something like that. So I was going to ask, like, that itch to maybe do something more album related or something like that.
Yeah, I might do another project, man. I'm not sure. I've done some things with Pastor Shack in Hamilton, where she's had like music groups of kids that like want to rap or make beats or whatnot, and they've had me come out and help, and then also tell my story, kind of like we're doing now, but more of just a setting where I'm talking to the kids, letting them know like, look, I understand your parents might be broke, dad might be on dope, it might be in prison, you might be raising yourself. I get it. You're gonna come out of that. You ain't stuck there forever. You know what I'm saying? Just if you find something you love, stick with it. Don't listen to nobody, because there can't nobody that ain't done it tell you can't do it, because they don't know how to do it. So so we would kind of do that kind of thing and just kind of help motivate. I would show them how to structure songs, how to write, how to build a song with the choruses and verses, how to count bars. And these are young kids from like junior high to high school. So, and that was pretty cool as well.
Okay. So, I mean, you're a rapper, like we know. What's your thoughts on like current rap music? Because it's a lot. It's become different from when we was in high school to the stuff now. Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on it? Is there any of these new guys that you like listening to a lot, or how's that go?
So, I still gravitate towards the real. I was so glad when that mumble rap bullshit got up out of here, because that's when I really hated rap. Like, I wasn't even dabbling in it no more. I was like, man, this shit's corny. I'm done. But back in like 2011, 2012, drill really started to pick up. And at first, I'm like, man, this drill's bullshit, right? Until I really started listening to it. I'm like, man, it's the same shit we was listening to before, just in a different fashion. So I really took to like King Von, Lil Durk, all them. Even like Moneybag, Gotti, T.I., because T.I.'s an older cat, but he kept going. But nah, King Von was my guy, man. Like when he started, and then, he tragically was killed a couple years ago, November 2020, I think it was. And so I'll still bump Durk and all that now, but as far as where it sits now, I think it's doing great. I think the real is on the way up, except for they're allowing that their street life, when they make it, they're not leaving it. And it's taking a lot of them, man. Like a lot of the Chicago cats or the Tennessee, even down in Texas, like with Mo 3 and them, like once they're getting this money, they're not protecting that breadwinner, and they're letting that breadwinner go right back to what he knows. And it's killing them. So if that's one thing, man, I just wish that they would realize they don't have to be in that shit no more. Like, we understand you came from that. Your story, we hear it, we feel it. You ain't got to do that no more. Yeah. But their mentality, they don't know nothing else. So I like where it's at now, especially with that. Now all that other popcorn shit, them Island Boy bullshit, you can keep all that. Right. But these solid motherfuckers seem to have it going in a real good direction.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe it's the comparison of how you look, or I don't know how much style-wise really. Was the Slim Jesus? What do you think about him? I mean, have you had any interactions with him, and what do you think about him?
Not really. I met him or whatever, of course. I offered to help him. Like, look, this is the way I would, whatever. He took it upon himself, and I think the whole world knows the Vlad TV interviews what destroyed him. If he'd have talked to me, I'd have been like, man, don't even bring it up. I would just be like, man, you know what it is. Next question. Move past it. You ain't gotta lie and say you out here killing cats, but don't be out here telling them I've never done nothing like that. That's what killed him. Like, you can't put out a drill song and then tell him, like, only drill I ever used was a Black & Decker. Like, you know what I mean? And so, I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he ran with it. He did great, made some good money, but he could have made a lot more money and been a lot more lasting had he left that interview alone. Right. But it is what it is now. And I don't even know what he's doing now.
I don't either.
I ain't heard his name or nothing. I don't know if he's back at Walgreens now as Robert or what. Right.
So, did you? And I don't personally know any of his music, but have you heard any of it?
Just the drill time. I take that back. He did one a song he did like in a cemetery, and I think it was decent. Because I was at the studio and his producer Brandon was actually working with my guy Otto, who I was working with at the time. Otto kind of took Brandon in and was showing him some ins and outs, and so he had played it, and it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great neither. But again, I don't know what kind of guidance he had as far as the whole industry goes to level him up. but I haven't heard anything from him here recently, so I don't know what he's doing.
Okay, yeah. And go along with that, around here and probably everywhere, but it's a lot of people who dabble or aspire to be bigger artists or whatever. So I mean, and some have had some success, like a K. Riley or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think about, and Lantana, I think was
Lantana. Showtime's done pretty good in the city too. So
what do you think about like the local collection of artists and what they're doing?
I mean, I think they're dope. I think there are a lot of cats that are doing it, but for whatever reason, those that stay here, it's really, really hard for them to make it out of Cincinnati, because Cincinnati's not a music hub. It's not known to be. Online, though, the internet, the way it is now, if we would have had that in 2007, I'd have been no question. We would have skyrocketed. It would have been over. But it's almost like they need to take their Cincinnati sound and go to Atlanta. Atlanta is where a lot of cats are going to get signed. Jack Harlow left Louisville, went to Atlanta, blew up within 2 years. So if they've got it and they can do it, get up out the city and go. Like Lantana was an exception. He came out with that all hustle no luck, and it was just like boom, But he also had some good money behind him too. But I mean, in the last 10 years, Lantana's the only artist that really got a big deal out of Cincinnati. Like, I don't know of another artist that have come out of Cincinnati. There was that one weird dude that made all them weird noises, that Lonze or Loans or something like that, or Laze or something. But he was breathing all heavy, making weird noise. I'll show you when we get done, bro. It's weird, but he kind of, it was like horror hip hop or whatever. But I think he ended up going to prison and losing what he had going on. But them two right there are the only two that actually came out of Cincinnati, didn't leave, and blew up. So get up out the city, man. If you got a talent, you doing something, get up out the city. Go somewhere, Atlanta, New York, somewhere.
Gotcha. Okay, so just switch gears a little bit. You known to be a huge Bengals fan.
Man, all day.
What was your thoughts on that run they had this year?
Man, I couldn't believe it, brother. I mean, shit, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon. After all the years we done had struggling, bro, it was a sigh of relief. But that Super Bowl, man, like, give that man two more seconds, and Jamar Chase is wide open. Jalen Ramsey was on the ground, and when they showed that wide angle shot, bro, I almost threw up. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, we were 1 second away from hitting Jamar Chase for the win. Like, are you kidding me? So, obviously everybody's like, God damn, but we're going to be right back. Like, I don't know if we'll get back this year. I hope we do. I feel like we could, for real. But Joe Burrow's the guy, man. He better retire a Bengal, or we're crazy as hell. 'Cause that dude's a generational talent, man. So I'm excited for what's to come.
Okay. Yeah. So, any other thoughts you have, just on anything? I like to open it up, just like anything going on in the world, or pretty much anything that's on your mind that you like that people you feel like should know, or anything like that, or.
Nah, man, just be looking out for some, a lot of the local talent. There's a lot of talent from around here, man. There's a lot of people doing a lot of stuff, and everybody wants to go and support the big artists. But don't forget, your homegrowns, that's how they make it. Support them. Buy their music. Buy their merch. Go to their shows. Let them know that you got their back, because the next person is going to blow up, and then what? You're going to support them, but you won't support your own. And that's kind of what we always preached. And we were lucky enough. We got a lot of local support when we were going. And if you are an artist that's doing it, don't give up. Don't stop. Keep pushing it until you feel like you've given it all you got. But it's going to take all you got to get there. So just keep grinding like bad breaks.
All right, man. Well, I think that's about wraps it up, man.
Cool.
Appreciate you coming down.
For sure.
Talking with me or whatever, just a little more insight into who you are, things like that. So yeah, man, I appreciate it, and might have to catch up with you sometime about something else. And,
All day.
We'll do it like that.
I'm down.
Where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, every one of them's gonna be at Blayze513. That's BLAYZE 513, and then also on YouTube, O10 Made, OH10 Made, MADE.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And take it easy.
All right now.